idea for something and you think there's a need for it, go after it.
Money is not the key. The key is to grow the concept and grow the business to a point that, while it's working fine, the money will come.
With fashion, you got to do your research. And I would recommend studying like whatever design house you like.
Create a platform where kids get to have internship experience. If you want to work in, sales, finance, accounting, IT, whatever it is.
Have a business plan before you start talking to potential investors, and even definitely before you go to a bank, because once you get rejected, it is extremely hard for you to now go again to get approved.
Thank you.
This event was put on by Umwibo Lions, and it was our effort to really highlight a lot of the entrepreneurs and people interested in becoming entrepreneurs in the diaspora. We focused on bringing people who have started businesses in Nigeria, but as well as in the United States. And so one of the things we wanted to do is provide information and also help people become inspired to become entrepreneurs, to take that leap, to get more information, and to connect with other business people.
After returning home to Chicago from receiving a bachelor's degree in marketing, designer Suzette Opera purchased a machine and taught herself to sew. Thus, 828 collection was created. Born on August 28th, Suzette titled her business after a day of greatness. It is the day Dr. King gave his highly inspirational "I Have a Dream" speech. It is also the number of her favorite Bible verse, Romans 8:28. Known for bold colors, intense detail, and distinctive creations, 828 has paved a lane for itself. Being of Nigerian descent, her collections exhibit the designer's modernized African flair and unique sense of being on pulse of what's happening, and yet manages not to be too trendy at the same time. There is no longer a need to look exclusively at Paris and New York for high fashion, thanks to this hidden custom-made gem in Chicago.
And so that is literally how I started, just really on some grassroots, just going for it, just getting the machine, taking the fabric, and going for it. In between there, I thought I was going to go back to school for fashion design, which I went for a few semesters, and decided that I don't really want to incur a whole bunch of student loans for fashion design. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. So right now, currently working with a manufacturer to produce a larger collection, more mass quantities, because right now all of my clientele is mostly through word of mouth and through social media. Like, social media has played a huge part in entrepreneurship, and I believe in it highly. I fought it for so long. I didn't want a MySpace page. I didn't want a Facebook page. But once I seen, like, on MySpace, how you're able to actually connect with people of influence who can wear your clothes and put you in front of other people of influence or other people with money. A large part of my clientele are party girls. Girls who they're constantly being photographed. They take their social media life really, really seriously, and they need clothes for it. And so I profit off of that. And I said, like, most of my business is done through word of mouth. So I don't have a website. I had a website. I really did not like the way. I didn't think the website reflected what I do. Like me and the website were two different people. It didn't connect. So I said I'd rather not have a website than have something that doesn't reflect what I do. So I scratched the website, and I've been doing well without the website. Some people say you gotta have it, but if I have all these other channels, you still have ways that they can instantly grab fashion. Let's see, so the biggest thing that's happened recently is Fashion Week. I got invited to show in New York Fashion Week, and that's the video I'm gonna show you is of the scene. And I can say this was like one of the biggest moments of my design career. It literally changed my life and changed the way I looked at things.
Usilama brings over a decade of experience to the information technology sector. He has helped several Fortune 500 companies build robust mission-critical database platforms for making strategic business decisions. He is currently the co-founder of a new startup company called GrabCars.com. GrabCars is focused on helping individuals and dealerships buy and sell cars on a proprietary, robust platform. GrabCars.com is currently operating in Lagos, Nigeria.
GrabCars.com. This is GrabCars. It's a website and an online marketplace that focuses on helping individuals and dealerships buy and sell their cars. And it's just that simple. That's exactly what it does. We don't sell cars per se, but that's exactly what it does. This is our mission statement. Gain quick insights into available cars in your area, gain access to the best car prices on the market, and just a quick way to get good responses from car buyers and sellers. Back in Nigeria, they have zero customer service. That's one of the key things that I noticed. When people do walk into the dealership, they don't try to pitch them or try to show them better ways or gravitate towards them selling a car. It's more about, oh, welcome. You want to see a car? that was our car. When you request a car, when you do request a car, they'll say, okay, hold up. Obia, down collect battery, let's start the car. so they can see the car. The market is poor, so then we said this is a problem, and how can we solve this problem? Because we see that too much Nigerians are going through this, and it doesn't make sense for us, right? So how can we solve this problem? And I partnered up with a friend of mine, Ike, jumped into the problem. So we said we'll do research. One of the first things that we wanted to do was that if we're going to try and solve a problem, we don't live in Nigeria, so it's better for us to do research, right? So we said we'll do research. We know that there's 170 million people, approximately 170 million people in Nigeria. And of course, the primary source of transportation is by road. And we said, okay, what's the average amount of people in Nigeria? And all these stats, you can ask me at the end of the show and I'll be able to give you a list of the stats. So it's funny, we saw stats and it's between 19 to 22, and we said this is a great demographic for people who are prone to willing to buy a car or will be buying a car in the future, or recycling whatever car they have. And we said, okay, that's fine. So we know there's a population for it. Then we said, okay, now let's do research of our cars. We noticed that as of 2012, 20% of Nigerians owned a car, 5% owned more than one car, and just in 2012, between January and September, 100,000 cars were shipped into Nigeria. And now this record has been known to be actually false. In terms of 100,000 cars, people think it's actually way more than that. But this is what was counted from various ports, in Nigeria. So still, that's a high amount of numbers. So we know that there's a demand, right? We know there's a demand because of foreign investors foreign dealerships who are coming into Nigeria. Porsche, Nissan, even the president knows that there is a demand for cars. He doubled the tariff for every car that's being imported into Nigeria. So he said, he's a way to make money. These people will buy it. So still, people are still importing cars into the country. And even Nigerians are making their own cars now. I don't know if people are familiar with Innocent Motors. Where are the Igbo people?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Anambra State. Man is making his own cars. So that's the reason I put pictures there. So it's not in Abia. Anambra State. So Nigerians are actually making their own cars. Wow. So this is actually amazing as well because the demand there is really, really high. So we said, fine, we know that there's a demand, right, for cars, but if we're going to build a product, our product is going to be online because we want to reach all these people. But do Nigerians actually use the internet? We did more research. We found out there are 56 million people there are 56 million internet subscribers in Nigeria. And this, of course, is not just from the computer, it's mobile and, broadband internet or whatnot. So we know about that. We said, wow, okay, then there was a statistics that came up. We noticed that Nigeria is actually ranked the 8th in the world, in terms of internet subscribers, And I'm like, wow, and United Kingdom is ranked 9th, actually. China is ranked number 1, America is ranked number 2, and Nigeria ranked 8th. And with the poor infrastructure, we're still able to get on the internet. So I was like, wow, that's a great business. So now, but before I even go into this slide, one of the other things that we looked at was that if you're going to build a product, our product is a robust platform that actually works highly with pictures. And we said, will Nigerians actually be able, would they want to upload pictures on the internet? And one of the things that we did was that we did research with Facebook and noticed that, wow, there's 11 million people, Nigerians, on Facebook. And actually that demographic of people on Facebook was around the same demographic that we looked at, which is the average Nigerian who are more prone to buying a car. So we said, wow, this is going to be a great business for us. So let's develop the product. And this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to help individuals sell their cars, help dealerships sell their cars, help consumers search for cars that they want to buy or whatnot, and make it very, very simple to use.
Cake Incorporated is the brainchild of Lande Sanusi. Lande has a Bachelor's of Science degree in mathematics and computer science from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and a master's certificate in project management from George Washington University. She served in the Illinois Army National Guard for 8 years with an honorable discharge, and has worked for several Fortune 100 companies such as AT&T Networks, Motorola Solutions, and Nokia Siemens Networks. Landy lives in Illinois with her husband and kids.
We're going to switch gears a little bit, so we're moving from IT over more into working with individuals and children. Lande Sanusi is the founder and CEO of CAKE. Stands for Culture of Africa for Kids Everywhere.
That was food.
When I was working at Motorola, one of the things that was really difficult for me to do was to balance my job and my kids. I mean, like I said, I have 4 kids, and at the same time, I had this really highly demanding job. People were getting laid off, more responsibility on me, but at the same time, I mean, kids have to eat, so I was working, my husband was working. We just tried to make ends meet, but things were starting to become apparent to me. One of the things that was really apparent to me with me trying to balance was that it was taking a lot of stress on me, and it was stress on my family too. Sometimes I would try so hard, I would go all the way to I had to work, I was just telling the story, I had to work one time and go to Pennsylvania, and I was trying so hard to balance having family time because my kids were off of school and also having my work time. So I took my kids with me in my minivan, and I drove all the way to Pennsylvania, and I drove to Maryland just trying to do a tour and at the same time working at the same time. And at the end of the day, I couldn't drive my way back home because I was already way far out there. I had to call my husband to come and get us. But I was really trying to find that balance, and it was really difficult to do. So what I ended up doing was creating something called the Culture of Africa for Kids Everywhere. I registered that company actually a couple of years ago, but I never really had the time to follow up on it. So what I did was, my way of doing my research, because what I'm trying to do was really unique, and there's no real market per se where I lived. So I started doing classes and workshops from my home. And I would teach like cooking classes, and I would tell my friends, we want to drop your kids off, and we'll do like authentic, African cooking. We'll cook jollof rice, we'll do some eba, we'll have like pounded yam. The kids loved it. They actually really liked it. So from that I started doing some more of like the cultural type stuff. Do you know how to tie your head? Gele. They see mommy do it all the time, but they don't even know what it's called. And sometimes when they know what it's called, they don't know how to apply it. So I was just doing experimental classes like that. The next thing I know, kids wanted to come to my house over the weekend. They kept saying, "Mommy, when are we going to go to Auntie Landy's house next time?" So it happened to I saw that there was a need for it. I wasn't sure how much of a reach it was going to have, especially me being in the suburbs. But I was going to try anyway. Opportunity came in last year in September when I got laid off. Actually, before I got laid off, I knew I was going to be getting laid off. And usually every year they say we're going to lay off, and I'm like always praying, I hope I don't get laid off. But that particular time, I went to my boss and I said, if you guys are thinking about laying off, I want to volunteer because I'll get a nice big severance package. I had been there for almost 20 years, so I knew I was going to be able to, get something pretty good, and that would give me a good push in what I wanted to do. Because I went to the bank and I said, I have great credit, I want to do this business. They're like, oh, it looks so nice, so cute, but it's not proven, It's not like I'm trying to steal somebody's customer base. There's no customer base to steal from. I have to build from scratch. So they weren't really too keen on it, but luckily for me, I was able to do it myself. So right now, our mission is to connect children, all children, regardless. Because even when I was doing the jollof rice cooking classes, some of my kids' friends that are not Nigerian or they were not African were like, "Can I take classes?" And the parents were paying for them to come and take the classes. So basically, just like you were saying earlier before, it's open to anyone that's interested in it. But really, we have a cultural component of it because I really want to make sure that our kids are connected to our culture. We're divided. Right now, we have 3 subsidiaries. We have something called the Hello Africa, which is an outreach program. We actually go to different schools. And when we go to the schools, they say, "Oh, we're missing this in our school." These are suburb schools mostly. They don't have that representation. So we'll go there, we'll take out drummers, we'll take food, and they love it, The other thing was the Slice by Cake clothing. They actually have African-inspired clothing that kids can actually wear to school. Not the costume per se, but made into like regular ready-wear, clothes for kids, and also doll clothes. I have dolls, I have aprons, just anything that has an African, influence in it for the kids. And then the biggest thing, which we just launched a couple of months ago, is the Cake Village, and that's the one I'm really going to focus on. So the Cake Village is a space. This is my actual money taker, I should say, because I actually have to get a space. The space is over 3,000 square feet. I have a theater in there. I actually have a theater where we have plays and we can watch movies and things like that. So we can actually do our cultural dances. We have dress up African, like Yoruba, all the beads for the Benin, all that stuff. We have all that in there. So kids come in and they dress up and they do some plays in there. We also have like a music room, which is this one here. It's actually a lot bigger than this picture shows, but the music room is, it's about the size of this room with some mirrors on the sides. We can do dancing in there. We do music. We listen to Azonto teachers, come and teach the kids how to do different types of dances. The kids love it. They soak it all in. In addition to that, we also have an art room. I actually have my own kiln where you do pottery. After you do your pottery, then you fire it in the kiln. I have my own kiln in there. I have Adinkra symbols from Ghana where you can do your own printing, tie-dye, adire, all kinds of stuff, I also do teaching, Yoruba teaching right now is what we do. The funniest thing is that the people that have been really patronizing, me and my services are Caucasian people who have adopted children from Africa. I mean, it's unbelievable. They were not, it's just not, I didn't realize that there were that many people out there. So they would sign up for classes during the weekdays and, they would bring the kids, and those kids are most of the kids that I see right now. Another thing that I didn't think about before that has actually fallen on my lap also is homeschooling. There's a lot of people that do homeschooling. They prefer to teach their children from home by themselves, so they have a network, and they say, oh, can we come for field trips, So they come out and do that too. And I also have a kitchen. It was really hard to find this place because it had a kitchen. Most of the places that I had to find they said, well, if you need a kitchen, you have to get a restaurant. I went to Chicago. You try to get a restaurant in Chicago, do you know how much money it is? So I had to go to different suburbs before I got lucky and found this place. And they wanted me to be there because I'm using a former school. They actually wanted me to they gave me like, incentives to be able to help me out, to be able to establish what I'm doing, because it bodes well for their community as well. This is my theater room. The way I try to do with my theater room is, like I said, it's probably a little bit bigger than this one, is I have a stage which also doubles as a King's Palace, which is what this lady is standing on. I have huts with real thatched wood roof. I have about four huts right now in there. It's going to change soon, hopefully. I also have the ground. Everything was strategic. The ground is like brown to kind of simulate being, it's carpet, but to simulate being, in Africa, it's like, you have the brown floor. I have the huts. I have like the, grocery store in the back, the gele, just different things in there that the kids they never want to go home. When they come in there, when it's time to go, they start crying. I feel good, the parents don't, because it means that it's all worth it. Some of the programs that we have in there is I have pottery making, pottery painting, cooking classes, do music and dance, theater and drama. We try to partner with a lot of the different African businesses out there, and this particular group is called the Fainty African Theater Ensemble, and they come out and do things. So the kids get so engrossed in it. They're doing this is actually a play from China Achebe's short stories, and the kids they get exposed to our culture. They love it, and so we'll try to do more of those. We also have language classes and craft making classes. Learn how to make your Ankara purses and bags and things like that. So we try to to build on that. Well, why become an entrepreneur? For me, and I discussed this earlier, I wanted to become an entrepreneur to fulfill a need for me. My need was that I wanted to be more with my kids. I wanted to do things more with my kids. So I needed something that would combine me working and me spending time with my children, and it just so happens that other people want that too. So I'm able to offer those services to other people. Nigerian kids, not just Nigerian kids, a lot of African kids are underexposed to their culture. And what I mean by underexposed is that when my kids come home, they say, my best friend is Anya. So I say, Mommy, they say, can I have a sleepover? Can we have a play day? I say, okay, fine. I pick up the phone, I call Anya's mom. Anya's mom's like, oh, sure. Or, I'm like, okay, what about Saturday? She's like, well, Saturday is not good because she's going to Polish school. You call another parent, they're like, oh, well, this day's not good because they're going to Chinese school. These kids have things set up for them to be able to be connected to their culture, even though they're not back, they're not physically there. And so that's why sometimes you see some Chinese kids, they know their culture, they know their language very well because they've taken the extra step, to do that. So I wanted us to be able to, I know some of the cultures are doing it, but it's not very widespread, and I wanted more of us to do it. And I figure if we had a place to do it very easily, then anyone, can come do it. I have Ghanaian people who stop by. I have Ethiopian people stop by. I have, everybody can use the space, and it would just be the African destination for the kids, and the kids would want to go there because it's so much fun.
Ajibola is the founder of myafropages.com, an online platform in which African business owners and organizations can connect with their customers. myafropages.com is focused on increasing the exposure and profitability of African businesses and improving the efficiency at which African customers locate products and services that meet their customized needs. Under Ajibola's management, myafropages.com now has approximately 3,000 businesses and organizations in its directory. However, as part of the company's continuous improvement initiative, a goal has been implemented to exceed 5,000 businesses and organizations by December 2014.
So we're going to go into our last speaker, Ajibola Johnson. So Ajibola is the founder of myafropages.com. He actually works to connect business owners with customers back home, but also here.
Specifically here in the U.S.
Okay, specifically here in the United States.
Okay. All right, everyone. So just basically put some slides together just to give you guys a background on our website, just to get you a feel of how things are laid out. One thing that's really good is we want folks to realize the impact My Afro Pages will have on different businesses here in the U.S. And the second piece was I actually love to actually mingle with folks as well, just to get some feedback on other things we can add to the website to make it easier for businesses as well. So that's one of the key things I asked for you guys this evening. So kind of an origin of My Afro Pages. So basically, coming out of college, I was working as a consultant, so I used to travel quite a bit. And one of the things I liked doing was visiting different Nigerian restaurants in different cities. And it was so tough to find these restaurants. Like I would Google, Yelp, everything, and I couldn't find them. And if I could even find them, the phone numbers changed. So it was just ridiculous. So I was like, you know what, we need a place where it has all restaurants all listed. And then about a year and a half ago, what kind of put it over the top was a colleague of mine who's Indian. She basically went for maternity leave and came back. But then she came back too early and she had a babysitter for a new baby. She just went on the local Indian website, typed in babysitters in Fairfield Hills, Illinois, got a list, and she would interview the babysitters, and she just got hired one of them. Like, it was that easy. So I was thinking, how come he was a Nigerian who was stuck in that situation, and you're the babysitter, you'd be calling your mom in Nigeria, and you know? So I was like, you know what, we need something, a one-stop shop that has all African businesses in one place. That's kind of how it all started. So basically, so November 1st was we call it a pre-go live. Basically, we went live, then we sent emails out to a bunch of people saying, you know what, give us some feedback. What are your thoughts about this website? And we got good feedback from a lot of people. They say, you know, why you change the color, move things around. So we're currently getting that feedback right now, and we're actually making those implementations. So our goal is to do a real go live in January 1st. And a huge aggressive marketing campaign, social media, like everybody said, we plan to go crazy with that. So that's kind of our game plan. So here's kind of like our objectives for My Afro Pages. The first one, you know, create exposure for African businesses. I mean, you'd be amazed at the different businesses that are out there that we don't even know about. Our goal is to put all of them on this website so everybody knows about them. The second piece is make it more efficient for us consumers to find those businesses. Good example of that was I was on Facebook, and this girl goes, oh, does anyone know any tailors in Connecticut? And then 4 days later, someone's like, oh, why don't you try this person? And then 2 days later, why don't you try that person? Like, it shouldn't be that way at all. It should be real time, you know, tailors in Connecticut, I get a list and call them right away. So that's kind of what we're trying to push here at My Afro Pages. And then the final piece, which I think is really important, is opportunities for students to gain experience. Now we know it's getting more and more competitive in the real world. Like by the time our kids start going to college, if you don't have internships back in high school, if you're hard for you to find a job, basically. So we want to create a platform where kids actually have internship experience. If you want to work in, sales, finance, accounting, IT, whatever it is, at least you can put in your resume and say, I worked in my Afro Page for a year, and leverage that experience when you start talking during these interviews. So that's one real opportunity we would love to accomplish. And then December 2014, big thing. So as of today, we have 3,000 businesses in our database. We want to hit 5,000 by the end of next year. And the goal here is the more businesses we could put in our database, the more exposure you give them, and it makes it easier for us as well to locate those businesses. So I was just sharing, we have Cake Village on there, so right away when I get home tonight, we're adding those two again to my pages. So that's how it is. So basically, this is what the website looks like. So right now we have the home page. So for example, if you have to find a clothing store in Illinois, for example, you just click on Find a Business. Right away, it takes you to a map of the U.S. You click on Illinois. Then right away, it takes you, clothing. You click on clothing, and it just gives you the list of businesses. And then if you want to, forget, just want to type in the search bar, really easy. Just go there. We're on the Ballard, for example, right? You type in Ballard, it drops down already. You click on it, and it just takes you to Ballard's page. So as you see, he has all the details. He has the map, how to get there. And one thing that's really key that we like is this voting mechanism. So it's kind of like Facebook, like you like something on Facebook, same here you could vote. So when someone searches for a restaurant, the one with the most points shows up first. So I think that incentivizes restaurants to be better as well, right? Because we know customer service in Nigerian restaurants, right? So we're saying, okay, the more points, so when you go to a restaurant, please vote for us on My Afro Pages, right? So again, this voting component we think is very huge and would help hopefully better our businesses. So that's kind of what it looks like right now. Now also, if you want to list a business, if you want to list a business, it's really easy. You just click on the link, and it gives you it takes you like an average 2 minutes. Go in there, see what category of business is in, and just click update. And it's not just businesses, even services as well. I mean, you have girls that all they do is braid hair, for example. We want that included as well, because again, it makes it easier. Like my wife, I know when she wants to go for a hairdresser for braiding, like she wants the best. So she wants, the one that has the most points, for example, will show up on that service. So it's very easy to do. And the next piece is, so we know, Africans, we love parties and weddings, right? So we just had a one-stop shop, everything weddings related. So if you want a DJ, photographer, rentals, hair and makeup, all in one spot, you could just go, find that out. Next is recipes, we talked about. So we have recipes for, Nigerian, Ethiopian, Ghanaian, whatever it is. And if we don't have it, any kind of, for example, put it in. We want as much as possible in our database. Especially for folks who marry non-Africans, right? They always love to be able to cook our food. So we have this for them. There's headline news. I have friends who read Nigerian news every morning when they wake up. And we thought that's just another demographic that we love to cater to as well. So we actually have different countries as well, and we're adding more and more into our database. And then sports. I know Nigerians love their soccer, all this cute stuff. So we include for the guys as well. You can go ahead and real-time news on your sports teams. So that's kind of how the website looks like.
A lot of the speakers talked about just Africans in general and how we can build a community of Africans, especially in entrepreneurship. And so a lot of the businesses are open to all Africans. They started in Nigeria or they launched in Nigeria, but we want to expand it out to reaching all Africans in the diaspora. We want to really take the lead, especially in this generation, to take the lead on connecting Africans, connecting them with resources, and encouraging more Africans to get involved in this way as well.
That's been the introductory part of the Entrepreneurs, a TV production from an Umiwa Alliance networking event. You just watched enterprising young Nigerian Americans in Chicago give general overview of their startup businesses. In the full production, as panelists, They will go into details with inspiring testimonies and counsels about challenges, successes, and realities of a transition from a paid employment, with searching questions and comments from an engaged audience, plus loads of words of advice from the moderator and gifted municipal consultant, Dr. Amara Inya.
The point is really understanding who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think the point that Suzette is making is that a lot of times we see what other people are doing, and especially in our community, you know, we have a very limited scope of professions that are deemed acceptable or mainstream or where you can actually be successful. And that's something that our generation is really struggling to break out of that mold. And so one of the things we're going to be doing in the new year is talking more about the arts and non-traditional professions.
These and more right here. Stay tuned.